Good morning. Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. I didn't get a chance to make a video yesterday. That was really hard coming back from the long break with that beautiful sunshine a few days. I also completed a new puzzle and some wall art. Super good time. I don't know what's going on with my hair. It's like big hair Tuesday, all the curls, just disregard. So I know that we are getting ready to jump into a whole new ancient civilization. We are getting ready to start talking about Rome. Rome is in Italy. I know a lot of you have a good amount of background schema information about Italy. So I can't wait to see what you come up with and some of your answers to the questions we're going to have to answer in this upcoming unit. Before we move on to Rome, make sure that you have taken all the chances you can on your Ancient Greece Common Assessment. Reach out if you have any questions. The highest score will be taken. And if you are really needing to take it a third time, all you have to do is reach out to me, send me a message. Okay, so we are getting ready to look at present. Today is Who Influenced Rome, Part 1. Our learning target is I can explain how Rome was influenced by other civilizations. We're going to read History Alive, Chapter 32, 357 through 361. You will be able to find that in the Schoology assignments. I'll also read through that today, look through it together. There are 5 multiple choice questions you'll need to answer at the end of this section. And again, reminder, retake that Ancient Greece Common Assessment if you need to. So what you need to do now is make sure you go to your Schoology account and open up the attachment that's called New Book, Chapter 32 PDF. So before we get started with our reading, we look at this is the geography of Italy, the Italian peninsula, and where Rome was founded. Right here, this tiny little dot, this is Rome. So let me move my camera here and do a little Rome right near the coast. Let's get a little background before we jump into pieces of the ancient Roman Empire. So the civilization of Rome developed on the Italian peninsula, a long boot-shaped piece of land in Europe. Surrounded on 3 sides by water, to the north of Italy lies the rest of northern Europe, while to the south, east, and west lay the seas. On this peninsula are 2 major mountain ranges, the lofty Alps, which extend along Italy's northern border, and the Apennines, which stretch like a backbone down the length of Italy. Their peaks and hillsides cover most of the peninsula. The small amount of Italy that is not mountainous is made up of high rocky coastland or level plains. Several rivers, including the Po and the Tiber, flow through these areas to the sea. Romans settled near rivers just as other early civilizations did. Find the city of Rome on the map, the Italian peninsula. Notice that it is located about midway down the peninsula on the Tiber River and close to the sea. This was a good place to found a city since its hillside location made it easy to defend, and it sat at the point where crossing the Tiber was easiest. Rome also lay on the route from the Apennine Mountains to the sea. As you'll learn in this unit, several different cultures converged in Rome. The Greeks, for example, settled nearby in other parts of the peninsula. Rome's access to the Silk Road allowed Indian and Chinese cultures to influence the Romans as well. As the map of the Roman Empire shows, Rome gradually grew from a city into an empire that extended into Europe and parts of Africa and Asia. Today, the legacy of ancient Rome lives on in the contributions it has made to Western civilization. In this unit, you will learn how Rome grew into an empire. You'll also learn about Rome's lasting influence on the world today. So if we're taking a look, this is the preview picture for what we're getting ready to read. Like always, what do you notice and what do you wonder? I notice a lot of things that we talked about in ancient Greece. For instance, this column here, or even these statues and columns here. And then when I look at the statues, I start to wonder, is this a Roman god like the Greek gods? The people of Greece would make shrines and thrones for the gods. What do you notice? What do you wonder? All right, so let's dive into this. As we're reading, if you have any background, you have a connection to make sure you write it down. I'd love to hear about it today in the comments. So we're going to talk about the geography and the early development of Rome. How did the Etruscans and the Greeks influence the development of Rome? Introduction. The Roman civilization flourished from about 700 BCE to about 476 CE. It began an ancient city of Rome. Rome is located in Italy, which includes a peninsula and islands in southern Europe. We talk about a peninsula. What area in the United States has a peninsula? That can give you a nice connection. The Italian peninsula is shaped a lot like a boot, and it reaches into the Mediterranean Sea with its toe pointed toward the island of Sicily. The Romans have a myth about the founding of their city long ago. The story explains a princess gave birth to twin sons, Romulus and Remus. The boy's father was Mars, the Roman god of war. The princess's uncle, the king, was afraid the boys would grow up to take his throne, so he ordered his men to drown them in the Tiber River. However, before the twins drowned, a wolf rescued them. When Romulus and Remus grew up, they decided to construct a town on the banks of the Tiber River, where the wolf had found and saved them. However, in a quarrel over who would rule the new settlement, Romulus killed his brother. He became king of the city, which he named Rome. The tale of Romulus and Remus is a colorful myth, but it is the lesson you will learn about the real founding of Rome. You will learn how Rome's location on the Italian peninsula brought it in contact with two neighboring groups. Interaction with these groups, the Etruscans and the Greeks, influenced Roman culture in the fields of engineering, sports, architecture, writing, art, and religion. So if you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, or even if you're just in the materials on Schoology, there's a short video that gives you a little more detail about Romulus and Remus. We could go on to make more connections. Those of you who are Harry Potter fans, think about Professor Lupin. What did he turn into? What did he look like? Romulus and Remus. There's some connections there. Moving on. Early Romans and their neighbors. Over the years, many have attempted to discover the truth about the founding of Rome. Although no one really knows who the first king of Rome was, historians do know that the first people to live in the area that became Rome were the Latins. The Latins were one of the several groups who had invaded Italy sometime before 1000 BCE. Perhaps around 700 BCE, a Latin tribe built the village that eventually became Rome. They constructed their village on the Palatine, a hill in central Italy that overlooks the Tiber River, at a location about a dozen miles inland from the sea. Eventually, the village of thatched huts developed into a mighty city that developed over 7 hills. As Rome grew, Roman culture was greatly influenced by two Rome's neighbors, the Etruscans and the Greeks. The Romans borrowed many ideas and skills from the two groups, beginning with the Etruscans. The Etruscans had come to control Uteria, a land north of the Palatine, but about 800 BCE, it is uncertain where they originally came from. They built some city-states and conquered others. By 600 BCE, they ruled much of northern and central Italy, including the town of Rome. The Greeks also were a major influence on Roman culture. The Romans learned about Greek culture when Greek colonists established towns in southern Italy and on the island of Sicily. Romans also discovered Greek ways from traders and many Greeks who came to Rome. The influence of Etruscan engineering. The Romans became excellent builders because they learned many techniques about engineering, or the science of building, from the Etruscans. Two important Etruscan structures that humans adapted were the arch and the cuniculatus. Etruscan arches rested on two pillars, which supported a half circle of wedge-shaped stones. A keystone in the center held the stones of the arch tightly in place. A cuniculus was a long underground trench connected the vertical shafts to the ground above. Etruscans used these trenches to irrigate land, to drain swamps, and to distribute water to other cities. The Romans adapted both of these structures and in time became even better engineers than the Etruscans. They used arches to build huge public works, including bridges, stadiums, and aqueducts to carry water over long distances. The influence of Etruscan sporting events. Romans also adapted two bloody Etruscan sporting events. The first was slave fighting. The Etruscan custom was to stage slave fights during funerals. Two slaves of the dead master fought to the death with swords and small shields. After being congratulated, the winner was executed. Etruscan spectators also enjoyed watching chariot races. The charioteers or drivers were strapped to their chariots. If a chariot overturned, they would be dragged under the chariot's wheels or trampled by the horses. These fierce competitions often resulted in injury or death. These Etruscan sports gained popularity in Rome. In Roman stadiums, thousands of slaves died fighting as gladiators, professionally trained fighters who battled each other or wild animals. Romans also flocked to see the charioteers risk their lives racing four horses, a four-horse team. That is the end of today's work. Make sure you now go into Schoology and find the Schoology assignment, 5 multiple choice questions that go with today. I'd also ask you to go to YouTube and find Miss Weber's YouTube channel and click playlists. There you'll find playlists for social studies that I've added and other videos for class. So, good luck. Let me know if you need anything. Reach out to me. If you'd like to have a conversation, we can open up a Google Meet. Just send that out to me and we'll set up a time. Miss you guys. Bye.